Flat roofs are by far one of the most risky design choices that you could make. In fact, they have a reputation for being leaky and causing a whole bunch of moisture problems like roof rot and mold growth. And it's critical that we understand how to design a flat roof correctly in order to reduce our chances of future problems. In this video, we're talking about the 5 essential things that you need to get right in order to have a successful, long-lasting, and durable flat roof that you won't have to worry about for years to come. Let's get into it. So first off, before we start talking about the essentials of flat roofs, we need to understand how they need to be designed, as this will inform all of our decisions moving forward. 99% of all flat roofs should be designed as unvented assemblies over conditioned spaces. If you don't know what this means, go and watch this video up here. But many of the condensation and moisture problems that are associated with flat roofs involve some sort of attempt at venting the roof. It is very difficult to get any sort of reliable ventilation into a flat roof due to the lack of a driving force. Basically, we're only relying on the wind blowing to vent a flat roof, and that can set us up for a bunch of problems, especially if there's air leakage between the ceiling plane and the upper parts of the roof assembly. You also hear about very severe roof failures where venting is attempted, in which warm, moisture-laden air from the exterior ends up condensing within the roof assembly. A severe example of this is when a building owner attempted to vent their flat roof assembly in a warm, humid climate for a refrigerated building. In cooler climates, we can get condensation on the backside of our roof sheathing, which results in roof rot, so we really want to make sure that all of these components are watertight, airtight, and insulated in a way to prevent condensation. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the first essential thing that you need for a successful flat roof, and that's either a fully adhered or fluid-applied roof membrane. We want something that can serve as a monolithic water and air control layer, and that's bonded to the substrate of the roof assembly. The problem with mechanically attached systems is that both water and air can travel freely at the interface between the roof membrane and the coverboard or substrate, whereas if the membrane is adhered or glued down to the substrate, any potential bulk water or air leaks will be highly localized and more manageable, and the air won't be able to travel within the upper parts of the assembly and potentially carry with it moisture that could condense and cause the membrane to bubble and blister over time. It also prevents the membrane from fluttering when exposed to strong winds. Now, there's a lot of different membrane systems out there that can be bonded to the substrate, either with bonding adhesive or self-adhering technology, or by means of a fluid-applied system. This brings us to our next essential, and that's the primary air barrier. Now, this is oftentimes referred to as the vapor control layer, or the vapor barrier in a flat roof assembly, but its primary function is an air barrier, as this is the most important function because this is stopping warm, moisture-laden air from the interior from leaking into the upper parts of the assembly and condensing on the underside of the impermeable roof membrane. We can't dry through a flat roof membrane because they're typically very strong Class 1 vapor retarders, so this means that we have to prevent moisture-laden air from the interior from getting into the assembly. Air leakage can transport a hell of a lot more moisture than vapor diffusion, and therefore we want an airtight membrane installed between the roof sheathing or roof deck and the rigid insulation installed above. Now, if you're working with a concrete roof deck, which tends to sequester a lot more moisture, the vapor retarder aspect matters a lot more here, because the concrete itself is serving as the air barrier, but we need something on top of the concrete to keep any retained moisture from migrating upwards and challenging the adhesive bond at the membrane to coverboard interface. Typically, SBS modified bitumen base sheets with cold adhesives or built-up roof membranes work best in these scenarios. Designing or building a flat roof and don't really know where to start with all these critical decisions, I've laid it all out for you in my climate-specific design guides to flat roofs, where we cover topics like assembly design to maximize long-term durability and performance, membrane selection and specifications, insulation, coverboards, and so much more. I found that manufacturers' instructions and product data sheets can only get you so far. I really wish something like this existed when I designed my first contemporary home with a flat roof. You can find these guides and the details at asiri-designs.com/shop. Links will be in the description below. Now, back to the video. Number 3, you need to use the right ratio of exterior rigid insulation for condensation control. Just like with any unvented roof assembly, we want to warm the condensing surface of the sheathing, or in this case the roof deck, to prevent warm, moisture-laden air from the interior from condensing on the underside of the sheathing and rotting it out. The amount of insulation that you'll need is dependent on the climate zone that you're building in, the interior relative humidity that you're operating under, and the type of exterior rigid insulation that you specify. In climate zones 1, 2, and 3, you need at least 10% of the total R value of the assembly to be installed as outboard insulation. Then in Climate Zone 4C, you need 20%, Climate Zones 4A and 4B, you need 30%, and the number just increases by 10% as the climate zone gets colder. This is assuming that the interior is operated at 70 degrees Fahrenheit at 35% relative humidity. Now obviously if you operate at a higher interior relative humidity, you need more outboard insulation to compensate for that. However, the safest option is to install all of the insulation outboard of the sheathing and leave the cavities uninsulated. Not only will this keep the backside of the sheathing closer to interior conditions, but it'll also provide a service cavity for HVAC ductwork and electrical conduit. You should also install your outboard rigid insulation in multiple layers with staggered and offset joints to prevent convective looping between the seams. Number 4. You have to air seal the parapet walls from the rest of the roof assembly. The majority of the issues that we see with flat roofs are at parapets, particularly interior air leakage at the parapets that results in interstitial condensation and convective looping. That air barrier and vapor retarder membrane that we talked about earlier should lap over the roof sheathing or roof deck and be integrated into the weather-resistive barrier on the exterior of the wall assembly to uncouple the parapet wall from the interior conditioned space. You can also use a spray-applied air barrier product on the interior, or spray foam, though we found that these solutions tend to be much less reliable than lapping the air barrier membrane over the WRB and then constructing the parapet over that. Finally, our last essential to a successful flat roof is protecting the membrane and the seams from the damaging effects of heat and ultraviolet light. When combined with water, these damage functions are what deteriorate all building materials very rapidly, as the effects of these damage functions can exponentially increase the rate of degradation. For every 18 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit rise in temperature, the reaction rate effectively doubles. Roofs tend to see the worst of all of these damage functions, so we want to keep our roof membranes protected and away from direct sunlight and heat if we want to extend the service life of our roof membranes beyond the warranty. Now, there are several ways to do this. You can either install a ballast on top of the roof membrane. Typically, this is river rock or gravel. You can install a paving system on top of the membrane on pedestals to create a sheltered drainage space without puncturing the membrane. Or you can design the roof assembly as a protected membrane roof, in which the roof membrane is installed directly over the roof deck, and the rigid insulation is installed above, along with a ballast. These roof assemblies are so durable and effective that they earned the term perfect roofs. We actually have a whole video on protected membrane roofs, which you can go and watch up here. Now, there are many other things that you can do to ensure the long-term durability of the roof assembly, like making sure that the proper flashings are integrated per the roof membrane manufacturer. However, these are the 5 essentials that really matter that are seldom discussed in the industry. Now, obviously, building transitions and penetrations make designing flat roof assemblies a lot harder. However, if you can implement these principles, you'll be on the right track. If you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more weekly building science videos, and head over to our website at asiri-designs.com where we have over 150 free building science articles that cover a wide range of topics. Links will be in the description below. For now, good luck with your projects. Cheers.